Good morning, this is Manjusha Radhakrishnan from Gulf News. I'm the entertainment editor. Today is a glorious morning. I'm going to have breakfast and coffee with Lisa Ray. She's an author, Bollywood actress, supermodel, and she's also a startup founder. Today we are going to find out about her typical day, how she survived cancer, how she wrote a book in the midst of it all, and how she decided to become a startup founder. Let's find out more about her.
You know, I love the winter season in Dubai. It's been actually a revelation, and we just finished 1 year. We moved here in January
And are you loving
last
it?
year, and I'm loving it. I love everything about it. Honestly, everything about it. I really can't think of any drawbacks aside, of course, from the summer. Everybody knows that.
Is your life a blender without a lid? I ask this because I'm a mom of twins. I feel my life is that. I feel overwhelmed. In your case, I know you have it all together. Or
Yeah.
do you have it all together?
No, no. I don't even attempt to put it out there that I have it all together. You know, I'm now added startup founder to my resume. And to be honest, I actually, you know, I think that I wouldn't have been able to start a company if I hadn't moved to Dubai. This, again, is a year-old enterprise. And while I think that being a startup founder, and my company is called The Upside Space, I'm co-founder,
Yes.
and I'm able to finally actualize my passion for the arts and for, you know, supporting the arts. So that's been amazing. Um, However, I have, you know, sort of a great foundation and support here in
Right.
Dubai, even though we're very new. So that part of my life is very chaotic. I have 4-year-old twins. That's also extremely chaotic and really, you know, teaches you that nothing is within our control, you know, brings home that message every single day. And they are honestly the delights of my life. So that's enriched my life. But life is led 360 degrees, isn't it? You know,
sure.
it's 360 degrees. So it's startup, it's my kids, my family is actually comes first, then my startup, which is become another member of my family, an extension of my family, because I'm living, breathing, eating it. Writing, of course, is very important. You know, I'll be appearing at the Emirates Lit Fest, which is really gratifying since, as I said, I'm a new resident as well, and it actually gives me a chance to refocus on my writing career, which is what I've also always wanted to do until I jumped headfirst into this art enterprise.
Right.
And I'm trying to juggle both.
Right.
But it's wonderful to be able to introduce my book and my story, my personal narrative, to an audience in the UAE.
That's brilliant.
Because I feel so warmly embraced in the UAE. It's been like one of the easiest transitions in my life.
It's great that I think every woman should be a businesswoman at some point. Look at all the women who are doing so well. They have some business out there, even
Yeah.
if it's an online thing.
Yeah.
I think that's the future, I suppose. Be your own
Well,
boss.
yes. And at the same time, though, I think it's really important to focus and to know what you're passionate about and to do something that's aligned to your values, because otherwise business is a grind. Starting your own business is very, very demanding. I mean, there's no two ways about it. And I'm a tech co-founder on top of that. And this is very much, you know, there aren't a lot of female founders in that space. But for me, what I'm doing is art-centric. It's very easy. We still put art at the center of what we're doing at the Upside Space.
Right.
We are a platform, we're a playground, we're a community, we're a marketplace. So we're a lot of different things. But we are creator and artist-centric. So imagine that. We're all about democratizing art and making sure that everybody has equal access to artistic expression from Southeast Asia, South Asia, and the Middle East. These are the places that we are from. These are the stories that need to be told. These are the artistic traditions that, while they are sort of rising in profile, we still don't have a table in the global art conversation in the way that it should be. Nobody else is going to tell our stories. We are responsible for elevating our profile and telling our stories. So the Upside Space is about that.
Oh, I love it.
So
I love
it's
it.
art-centric. Here's the thing. It's art-centric. It's about the art. The tech is the enabler. It's the delivery system. It's the new medium. for being able to share art in a borderless world.
Right.
If you're sitting in New York, you should be able to access some of the hottest, freshest talent in Dubai, in Mumbai, in Delhi, in Hanoi, in Bali, and that is what we are about
So you're
at the Upside
eliminating
Space.
middlemen. Let me put this right. So I
Yeah,
don't need to go to a gallery owner and perhaps
exactly.
hawk my goods, because at the end of the day, art has to sell too. There is a bit of economics attached. You can't just live on fresh air. And
No,
now,
no, of course. We are a marketplace. We are
yes.
a marketplace. However, exactly, we are curator. So we're taking some elements from the traditional art world because we feel that this new space of art NFTs is very confusing, to your
Yes.
point, to a lot of people. A curator becomes like someone to hold you by the hand,
Yes.
right? Is an expert who's handpicking the works. You know, for instance, we have exhibitions from Sri Lanka. So we have an incredible curator from Sri Lanka who handpicked incredible artists from Sri Lanka. And I love Sri Lanka. I shot a film there called Water. So I spent a lot of time there. And I understand the artistic traditions are very, very strong. However, to give you an example, Sri Lanka, as we all know, has been going through a very volatile, difficult
True that.
time for like the last year and a half, economically, politically. Now, as an artist, as a creator, how do you make money when you're at the demands of like local geographical volatility? Well, if you have a practice that bypasses that, if you have an art NFT practice that where you can actually access a global audience, you can still generate an income for yourself. You know, you're not beholden to local volatility. And that's another reason why we believe in what we're doing, amongst many, many, many reasons. You know, like looking at the, you know, we have a curation out of the UAE. And look at the diversity of voices that you get. And that becomes another form of soft power of sharing the stories of these regions and helping again to open people's minds
That's brilliant.
and their wallets.
Really, the wallets. Yeah, because art.
Well, I'll tell you what, I mean, also what you do in art NFTs is the artist becomes a lot more empowered, right? We have smart contracts which, you know, tries to ensure that artists can receive royalties indefinitely on their artwork. The artist can directly connect with the collector. There's no middleman. An artist can choose how they want to present themselves. And again, an artist is developing their own profile in their community. It's within their own hands. They don't have to always rely on a middle person. Look, I have, wow, isn't that lovely?
Yes.
I love this place. I love the little chirp, chirp, chirp in the morning. But, you know, so I don't want to throw shade on a traditional gallery system, but
Got it.
there are flaws and problems, like any system, right? So what we're doing with this new medium, this new way of delivering art to everyone, making it accessible, is it actually addresses some of the flaws in the old system.
Writing isn't easy. The discipline that you need as well. But and you need to be a wordsmith, which you are. But how did you get into it? How did you just decide, okay, I'm going to write a book and I'm going to become a businesswoman? How do you make these calls? I mean, it takes a lot of
Serendipity.
courage. Serendipity indeed.
No, honestly. And I mean, there's so many people I admire, so many women I admire, and I've been lucky enough that, you know, in my communities and circles and wherever I've lived, I've managed to embrace incredible women who inspire me with their decisions. And I think that, you know, obviously I'm not fearless, but I acknowledge the fear and I move on in spite of it. Writing a book is, though, something that I always wanted to do, so I grabbed the opportunity. Ironically, being diagnosed with a serious cancer, multiple myeloma in 2009, actually addressed whatever inner obstacles I might have or inner hesitations I might have about embracing new careers and new projects. Because, you know, when you have to deal with your mortality, that's it.
Yeah.
You know, everything else actually kind of fades into insignificance. And you realize, again, you're really, this idea of embracing whatever you have in this life comes into very sharp focus. So I think that in a strange way, cancer obviously like liberated me from a lot of my sort of self-conscious, whatever self-conscious kind of impulses that I had. So I wrote a book, in fact, because of my cancer diagnosis, and I've always only ever wanted to be a writer. That's all I wanted to pursue. And it only took me about 30 years to get there. So You can do it too. It's
How
okay.
is that? How did you get into it? Did somebody just float the idea?
Yeah, so Aisha Khan is Singapore based, and we literally met 1.5 times because it was COVID in Singapore and it was very hard to, anyways, even meet someone for dinner. But we realized that we have this twin passion for art, but also about disseminating art,
Yes.
about reducing, again, the defensiveness around art, like, bringing down the fences around art, and eliminating that and eliminating the borders. So, circle back to, we were just in the midst of moving from Mumbai to Dubai, and Aisha reached out and she said, "Hey, what do you think? I've been thinking about this for a while. We had a lot of time to think during COVID." And,
We did.
and I give her credit for putting the two together, art and tech, and understanding the potential of this disruptive new technology to be able to, deliver art to a much, much wider audience and to have fun with it as we're doing it. We're very focused and excited, but this literally just fell into my lap. I actually had a conversation with my husband. My husband's been in blockchain for a while.
Okay.
And we have these very interesting dinner conversations where, for me, a lot of it is around books and poetry and art and cultural events. And, sometimes I feel it goes in one ear and out the other. And for him, it's about crypto and blockchain and tech and finance, and it goes in one ear and out the other. And I mean, to give him credit, of course, he does actually enjoy culture. Be hard, right? Otherwise, but I don't necessarily actually meet him halfway and, yeah, reciprocate. But we were sitting and discussing this, and I said, "You know what? Aisha brought up this business idea, and what do you think?" And I'm really scared, and I acknowledged it, and I said, "I don't know anything about tech. I'm not a tech-driven person." He said, "First of all, you consider yourself creative, right?" Yes. Hello. What are the qualities that it takes to be creative? Well, you have to be open-minded and adaptable and embrace new ideas and da 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 da. And he said, "Well, then why are you so resistant to this idea if you consider yourself creative?" And I went, "Oh, ding dong. I can't argue with that." So interestingly, my very logical husband, kind of opened my mind and my perceptions and my eyes to following this new passion, to putting the two together. And that's what I mean. You don't have to be an expert in anything. I am not an expert in art. I bought my first piece of art when I was 16. I've been a collector. I'm not educated in art, but I'm not educated in anything.
Oh.
I don't believe that that should dictate the direction of your life, because you'll pick it up as you go along.
Oh, I love that. I think you're a hustler. Do you know that?
No, I'm not.
You're not?
I'm honestly not.
You are. You're a
I'm very
reluctant
resistant.
hustler.
I'm very resistant. I'll tell you why. I do feel that this is actually a very, in my opinion, it's a very toxic term, and I'll explain why. Because we live in an age of distraction
Yes.
already, right? And I am very mindful, and I've written about this in depth in my book, and one of the main messages of my book is, again, to go back to yourself, to align your internal journey with your external journey. But to begin that process, you have to understand who you are, and you have to sit silently and quietly with yourself. You may not have the time to go off on a retreat for 6 months like I did at one point in my life, but just carving out some time every day. So where I'm resistant to this hustling culture is because it's really already an age of distraction. It's an age where we have to fight hard to find stillness and reflection, and we're not encouraged to by the world, by culture and society. So hustling, I think, is not the right word.
What would you? How?
Aligning.
Aligning. Oh, I like that word too.
When you're aligned, things start falling into place. You still have to work hard. I will work really hard. But I've learned the hard way, due to my medical issues and due to being diagnosed with cancer, that if you cut yourself off from your internal world, from your inner world, from your body's needs, if you stop listening to that little voice, you will bear the consequences, and they will often be very harsh. And that's what happened to me. I was a hustler when I was younger. I would not say I'm a hustler now.
You started at 16, I'm thinking. So you were so vulnerable. Like, my daughter is 11, 12. I was thinking while I was just reading something about you, I was like, my God, 4 years older, Arya is so young.
I know.
I wouldn't want that to her. I feel you have learned it the hard way as well, all of this.
Yeah.
And do you
I've
feel
learned it
you're
the hard
on
way.
borrowed time, Lisa? Is that why you're doing everything? You're like ticking the boxes in some ways as well, isn't it?
I
But
honestly, yeah, I don't think of it that way.
Okay.
As I said, it literally is these wonderful opportunities that I feel aligned with that have come into my life. I'm deeply grateful. I'm deeply humbled. I'm learning every day. I've learned to listen in general more than speak, although now I'm doing all the speaking, but
I love it. I love
but
it.
I
You're
really
so
feel
articulate.
no, it's so important just to listen. And and I always want to be in a room full of people who are much smarter than me.
Always. You're not intimidated.
Yeah.
That's always good. Most people are intimidated being in a room where, people are generally like you think they're more educated. But it's all just a.
No. I mean, I've been at the benefit or the receiving end of people who are either, I would categorize them as great spiritual masters, or people who are so wise in what life is about and how to lead a good life. And I've benefited from those relationships. I benefited from the wisdom of a lot of women and developing my feminine side and the strength of the feminine side and really embracing and stepping into that. As opposed to, see, like hustle for me is a very also yang male oriented energy. And I think as women,
Yeah.
we should understand that we have different ways of doing things that are just as powerful.
What's your day in the life like? Because Lisa, I know you as a Bollywood star, okay? I know you're
I
a
know.
writer. There's
It's
so
probably
much
a little
more
bit
to
of a trip, right?
you. Yeah. How did were you a misfit? I want to ask you
A
that.
huge misfit, and that's again why I wrote Close to the Bone. I never fit into the entertainment world in India. I think at least it's taking a very different direction. Obviously, I love the new stories that are being told. I feel really honored that at my very advanced age, and even though I'd stepped back from acting, I got this wonderful opportunity to be part of Four More Shots, Please, which I think is a very forward-thinking and such an interesting story. And I was roped into this by my friend Rangita Nandi,
Oh, nice.
who's
Is
the
it Pritish
showrunner,
Nandi's
Pritish Nandi's daughter.
daughter? Okay, okay.
She's a showrunner. She conceptualized this, and she roped me in. I was very resistant,
I love the role
and
though.
and I love the role, and I love the entire
Such a diva.
series, and it was so much fun. So I'm glad that I'm fortunate to be able to do that. So I get a bit of a taste of this new age of entertainment coming out of India. That I do have some regrets. I wish that I could have been a part of that because those are the stories that I would have loved to tell that were not available in the 90s. The 90s is very different. But of course, I attained and achieved a lot of success that I myself felt like I was a fraud. I didn't feel that I deserved it, but it was on the basis of how I looked at that moment, right?
Yes, it was. But it
But
is
that's
still
fine.
looks
That's
to me.
different.
It still
But I
looks
was
to me.
always a misfit. But I managed to find a community. So I always, in parallel with what I was doing, I dedicated myself to art. I was collecting art alongside. I was writing in my journal that led to my writing career. So I planted the seeds of what I wanted to do later on in my life
Yes.
at that period of time, not consciously, but it somehow happened. So I feel really, really fortunate and lucky. And I think that today, this idea of being a misfit, being an outsider, is even more embraced than it was when I was there. So I had this inner conflict because on the outside, the way I describe it also is I was able to redefine success at a very young age. Reason being is that when I was at maybe you could say the height of my success, in my mid 20s,
Yes.
being celebrated around India and da, 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 all
The model and the way
all
you
the
look,
stuff
oh
that
my
all
God.
the stuff that comes along
You
with
were on a
that.
pedestal, really.
Yeah,
You were the
externally.
unachievable, like, in terms of beauty.
I know.
I just thought you were the more.
No. I mean, it sounds terrible to say I know, but the reason why I'm saying this,
Very
no, but I
nice.
was at that point of time, and it
You
felt very
were.
surreal. I was disconnected from the image of myself, and I'll tell you what. So imagine that was the external reality. My internal reality is I was at the depths that you can get emotionally.
Yeah.
I was really, really sad, in turmoil, in conflict, sometimes almost suicidal, and I also had an eating disorder. So this kind of disconnect between the external and the internal, for me, is not success. How can you define that as success?
Very true.
There's no single line. Because sometimes, they'll ask you to do this exercise. Well, use a single line and describe the ups and downs in your life. What are your high points and your low points? And I say, I can't do that. I have to use 2 lines, at least, if not 3 or 4, because there's the external success that people see. That has its own trajectory. There's the internal. and they don't always sync up.
Yeah, and they all, yeah, the internal one is going south. For
Yeah, and not always, but they don't always sync up. So the idea is that they should intersect and that they should mirror each other. That is true success for me. So that's what I aspire to.
So are you like in a better space now? I mean, because at 50, I don't know, tackled all your inner demons as well. And like you
Yeah.
said, the eating disorder, it's all for real. Like, you know, people
Yeah.
are talking about it. Public figures are talking about it.
Of course.
Saying, and even addiction. If you have an addictive personality,
Yeah.
stars are now talking about it.
Yeah.
They're not
It's so
hiding it.
positive.
Isn't that better? Like, don't hide it. Even
Thank
if you're having
God. Thank God.
antidepressants,
It's about
okay, do it.
time. It's about time because, you know, I mean, I think it was that beautiful Rumi quote that if we all sat in a field together and discussed our, you know, our flaws or our failures, we would all laugh at the recognition that we all contain the same things,
thing, yeah.
the same failures, the same sort of mode of success. You know, we are all connected through our stories and through our experiences, regardless of, again, what the external perceptions might be. And I am proud, at least, to have been the first Indian personality to have spoken about cancer openly, to have broken that
The
taboo.
stigma attached to
The
it.
stigma attached that I could never understand. And that was
No, in India, it's generally
really,
like that. In
but
my
that
family,
was a
not allowed to ask.
breakthrough. It was a breakthrough moment for me personally.
Okay.
I wasn't doing it necessarily for other people, I was doing
Not
it
for
for
activism.
myself.
Yeah, yeah.
But it did turn into a form of activism and a great sort of mission statement for myself.
So empowered. In a weird way, we felt empowered reading your stories in the sense you came
And
out of
now everybody feels like, I feel like the lid has come off, and that's so powerful. And you know, I would encourage that
such a torture bearer.
more and more and more. No, honestly, not at all, not at all. It's been very circumstantial for me. You know, whatever circumstances I've been in, I've taken the best decision I felt I could in that moment, and that's it.
Right.
But one of the best decisions we took is moving to Dubai. To be honest, I love it here.
Too.